Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including more Tesla programs shut down by Elon, Tesla's FSD safety report, and more, so let's get into it, and a special thanks to PDS Debt for sponsoring this video. First up today, Tesla has always had a very distant relationship with the idea of advertising their products. While clearly their strategy has worked thus far, and the company has grown to great heights under it, they have toyed with advertising several times in the past in order to drive sales. As such, some people were pleasantly surprised by a recent marketing partnership with a pretty big client, but it appears to have been quite short-lived. Within the last few months, Tesla announced a small partnership with the wholesale retailer Costco in the Taiwanese market. Costco is a huge brand around the world, and their auto sales division is popular with many of their members. Part of their sales strategy is to offer discounts and perks for members who choose to shop with them, and Tesla would be a part of that. While Costco wasn't offering any discounts, they were going to be offering a bunch of perks to the first 50 customers who ordered the car through them. That included incentives like free supercharging miles, included accessories, and more. This deal seemed pretty nice, and many speculated that it could have been a test run before they attempted something similar in the US. Shortly after word of this deal spread online, though, Elon Musk chimed in to announce that it was actually being called off. He said, quote, "I just canned this program, was not approved." Tesla is really going through a big transition right now, but it does raise questions as to how this could have gone through, clearly without the knowledge of the people who actually needed to make the decision. Elon didn't offer any explanation behind why this deal was canceled, but this doesn't seem like something that would have been too big of an issue. However, it potentially shows employees doing things differently than Elon does. The bread and butter of Tesla's business is selling cars, and we've seen Tesla trying out a number of different things lately to sell more. Advertising, APR incentives, and even listing their cars for sale on third-party websites, again, briefly. Back in November, car dealership guy on X noted that Tesla had quietly started listing new vehicles on cars.com. This marked the first time Tesla had ever listed cars for sale outside of their own website, even though this directly linked to Tesla's website. Everything was always direct to consumer, and in response to this, Elon said, "First I've heard of this, seems odd." Many took this as a great example of how disconnected Elon was from Tesla. There was even a McDonald's partnership in China at the time, and when Sawyer Merritt posted about it, Elon said, "Fake news," with laughing emojis. Sawyer Merritt responded saying, "It's real, Elon. Tesla's official Weibo account is promoting it." So Elon clearly has missed some things, but this also could come down to a real difference in vision. Tesla employees, likely specifically on the sales side, are working as hard as they can to implement new ways to sell more Tesla vehicles. The current model hasn't been growing. However, the focus for Elon going into the future is self-driving. In fact, he has specifically stated this to investors. Regarding self-driving on Tesla's latest earnings call, Elon said, "I recommend anyone who doesn't believe that Tesla would solve vehicle autonomy should not hold Tesla stock. They should sell their Tesla stock." Some are drawing more of a hard line here and saying Elon told all investors to sell their shares, which is only partially true because it's true for the ones that don't believe in self-driving. To Elon right now, car sales obviously need to continue, but Tesla's bread and butter, and what will actually make them larger than any other company, will be self-driving. Self-driving sold on existing Teslas, future cars getting it, Tesla licensing it to other automakers, and Tesla introducing the robotaxi network to revolutionize transport on a scale that we've never seen. Regardless, it's definitely pretty extreme to hear a company's CEO specifically tell investors not to invest, but he is being very clear that Tesla is pouring most of its resources into the development of FSD. So when it comes to car sales, why on earth would Tesla partner with Costco with that in mind? In Elon's mind, Tesla has always done things differently, direct to consumer, and they've never needed more. Most likely the biggest factor here is that Tesla already operates their own direct-to-consumer sales stream, and they still don't want to start introducing any middlemen into the equation. Still, this Costco deal would have only offered an additional way to purchase this vehicle with a few extra added perks for Costco members. This deal likely wasn't a huge commitment by any means, but it does show a certain hard-headedness that Tesla can have when it comes to issues like this. Their current sales model is great in a lot of ways, and customers appreciate how easy and transparent it is to buy a Tesla. On the other hand, their sales have been dropping in recent quarters, and they will have to make some adjustments if they want to boost them back up again. Tesla is clearly working on some big projects behind the scenes right now, so perhaps they don't feel like marketing is necessary with those on the horizon. However, only time will tell how they can escape this current slump. Are we going to see employees continue to implement programs that Elon turns around and shuts down? We'll have to wait and see. Next up today, a pretty crazy story coming from a Tesla over in Mexico that demonstrates why it's important to properly install your home charger. When you buy a Tesla, there are two options to charge your car at home that Tesla sells: the mobile connector and the wall connector. At the same time, one of the great benefits of an EV is that with something like that mobile connector from Tesla, you can plug in almost anywhere there is power. There are also tons of third-party chargers that will work with a Tesla either by itself or with a simple adapter. The mobile connector itself includes a NEMA 515 and NEMA 1450 adapter, but they also support many other plugs for whatever outlet you may have. It's pretty incredible how flexible this can be, but of course, wherever you're plugging in and whatever you're setting up at your home should be set up correctly. For many, this comes as somewhat of a hidden expense when buying a Tesla, but with that much electricity consistently charging your EV, it's important that things are done correctly. On the complete other side of things there, over in Tijuana, Mexico this week, a driver reportedly connected their Tesla to an illegal electricity hookup connected directly to a power line. According to the report, not only did the Tesla end up in flames, but so did the neighboring house. The facts of EV fires are that they happen around 10 times less than gasoline vehicle fires, but when they happen, they do take a long time to put out. There is a lot of energy stored in an EV's battery pack, so this fire reportedly took a couple days to burn out. When the firefighter arrived at the fire, he said, "This Tesla is connected directly to the power line." This car did have California plates, so it's possible they were visiting and didn't even realize the situation at hand. With that said, illicit electrical connections are a common problem in Tijuana, where residents get free electricity by hooking a wire directly to overhead power lines, quote, or ripping out an electrical meter and splicing into open feeder lines. As such, voltage will vary widely, creating potential hazards and, reportedly in this case, creating a fire. It's unclear if the fire started at the outlet where the Tesla was plugged in, at the power line running to it, or at the vehicle. Most likely, the Tesla mobile connector would have shut down the charge when abnormal voltage was detected, but we may never know for sure. We also may not know how this situation was even possible, but it's a pretty good example of what not to do. Teslas are very safe when it comes to fire risk, but if you set it up for failure, the resulting fire does create damage. The equivalent here might be finding a random tank that smells like some sort of gas and filling up your gas car, then hoping for the best. Obviously, don't do this. Make sure your EV charger is wired properly. Next up, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, PDS Debt. PDS Debt has customized solutions for anyone struggling with credit cards, personal loans, collections, or medical bills. If you're making monthly payments and your balances aren't going down, PDS has solutions. Everyone with $10,000 or more in eligible debt qualifies, and there is no minimum credit score. It's well known that getting into debt is easy, but getting out is a pain. In fact, the system is set up so that we don't get out. It can cause a lot of stress and anxiety, but you don't have to go it alone. Help is available through PDS Debt. They strive to understand your scenario and provide personalized alternative solutions to becoming debt-free. They truly have customized options for anybody struggling with credit cards, personal loans, collections, or medical bills. Stop waiting and start saving. Get a free debt analysis right now at pdsdebt.com/Shaw. It only takes 30 seconds. Again, that's pdsdebt.com/Shaw. Next up today, while the latest versions of Tesla's self-driving software has been improving a lot, many customers are still hesitant to hand over control to a fully autonomous system, even though they still monitor it. It can be a bit unnerving letting your car drive you fully for the first time, especially when it makes a decision on the road that you may have handled differently. Despite those concerns, we are starting to see real data that shows just how much this software is improving, both for FSD and their simpler autopilot systems. For a while, Tesla used to regularly release vehicle safety reports that compared the rate of autopilot accidents to their total number of miles traveled and to the industry averages. The data set was limited in a lot of ways, but Tesla used these reports to claim that autopilot was significantly safer than driving without it. However, Tesla did stop releasing these reports back in Q4 of 2022 and have only just started to bring them back again. In their new Q2 safety report, Tesla has made some pretty impressive new claims. They say, quote, "In the second quarter, we recorded one crash for every 6.88 million miles driven in which drivers were using autopilot technology. For drivers who were not using autopilot technology, we recorded one crash for every 1.45 million miles driven. By comparison, the most recent data available from NHTSA and FHWA from 2022 shows that in the United States there was an automobile crash approximately every 670,000 miles. This data is only based around their autopilot system and not specifically FSD, but anecdotal evidence suggests some big improvements there as well. Tesla won't release any internal data on FSD and its time between engagements, but Elon promised in May that the software version 12.4 had a roughly 5x to 10x improvement in miles per intervention. We can't say for certain whether that number has proven accurate in the real world, but users have reported a lot of improvement lately. I've been using the latest version of FSD for a bit now, and in my experience, it is a big improvement, but I do still find some very odd behaviors that it does. Perhaps the most interesting part of this study is the comparison between this newest data and that from years past. This graph shows just how much it has improved over the years. In Q2 of 2022, their vehicles driving with autopilot would go a bit over 5 million miles before reporting an accident, but now they are doing better by almost 2 million more miles. This software is improving very rapidly, and soon, many expect it to reach a point where it is undeniably safer than a human driver. Tesla is banking a lot on this software's success, so we'll see how it shapes up, especially with their robotaxi looming on the horizon. The main thing to pay attention to here is that this includes all of FSD and autopilot in one swoop. Many drivers only use autopilot on the freeway, so we're comparing autopilot data to all driving data. For that reason, I don't read too much into these numbers, and I'm really excited to see once Tesla releases actual specific FSD data compared to the average driver on the road. That's because FSD will drive absolutely anywhere. Next up today, Tesla Energy has been growing more and more for Tesla each day, expanding them from simply an EV company into an overall general electrification provider. Their innovative home and grid-scale energy storage products have been largely successful and have paved the way for Tesla to really enter the utilities market. Back in 2022, the company launched Tesla Electric in Texas and the UK. Powerwall owners in those markets can connect their systems to Tesla's network, which handles automatically buying and selling power back and forth to the grid. This program is reportedly doing well for its current customers, but Tesla has just announced a new partnership to expand it further. SunRun is one of the largest solar installers in the country, and they have just recently partnered with Tesla Electric to start adding new customers into the program. According to the company, quote, "The partnership has already enrolled more than 150 SunRun customers in an aggregated power program and will scale up enrollments while dispatching stored solar energy from at-home batteries to rapidly increase available electricity reserves on the grid during periods of high consumption." By expanding these services to more customers, this Tesla Electric program will be able to have a more stabilizing effect on the grid as a whole. Additionally, the program can be very beneficial to the customers who participate in it as well. Since the energy can be bought and sold at a large scale, it can have a pretty sizable impact on the cost of electricity at a wholesale level. Those savings can then be passed on to customers who participate in it. According to SunRun, the average Tesla Electric customer in Texas made $400 per Powerwall just this year. Some customers with multiple Powerwalls and a home solar system have reported covering their entire electric bill and even making as much as $1,000 in profit. Energy initiatives like these can be extremely beneficial to both the customer and the entire grid itself. Switching to entirely renewable energy creates certain issues around effective distribution during and outside of peak hours. By having decentralized batteries like this, it allows for customers to create, store, and even sell their energy when it is needed most. This is a really exciting program, and it's great to see it expanding in Texas. Tesla currently operates their virtual power plant programs in more markets as well, so perhaps we will see them expand Tesla Electric to those very soon. Last up today, some updates from other automakers. While many EV companies have been trying to emulate the success of Tesla, one of the most promising relative newcomers to the auto world is Rivian. The company has seen growing success with their R1 series SUV and pickup truck, and they just recently announced their more affordable R2 and R3 series. As the company works on expanding and increasing its profitability, they recently announced a major deal. This is a partnership with VW to produce EV software worth over $5 billion. The legacy automaker will be investing and paying a licensing fee to Rivian that amounts to $5 billion, and in exchange they will be able to use the combined electronics platform and software technology developed by Rivian in their own lineup of vehicles. Those include cars made under the Porsche, Audi, Lamborghini, Bentley, and Volkswagen names. Traditional car electrical systems can be very unwieldy and complex, so Rivian's ground-up redesign makes the system a lot simpler and easier to develop robust software for. Rivian will not be designing the user interface for these other vehicles, but rather the underlying systems that actually run the car. This will effectively make it adaptable to any setup or vehicle relatively easily. That should be a really exciting way to both improve the functionality of another brand's EVs while also giving Rivian a boost towards profitability. Rivian, much like Tesla, has always placed software at the forefront of their vehicle designs, opting to build their user experience from the ground up. This has led to some great results, but also frustrating for some people. It means that features like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are not included. CEO RJ Scaringe recently reiterated that CarPlay would never be coming to their cars. In an interview, he said, quote, "We have a great relationship with Apple. As much as I love their products, there's a reason that ironically is very consistent with Apple ethos for us to want to control the ecosystem." CarPlay isn't consistent with how we think about really creating a pure product experience. This isn't the first time that Rivian has attempted a partnership with another automaker. On 2 separate occasions, Rivian was slated to partner with Ford and Mercedes to help develop their EV product lines. In 2019, Ford invested $500 million into the young company, but later decided to focus on their own internal EV development. In 2020, Rivian briefly partnered with Mercedes to develop electric vans, but dropped out quickly in order to focus on their own growth. This deal with VW seems much more likely to align with both companies' own goals, and as such, seems like it will be good for both of them into the future. The path to profitability has proven to be a rocky one for many of the world's up-and-coming EV companies, but Rivian has just announced they are one step closer to reaching it. The American automaker has been doing a lot to cut costs and increase margins on their vehicles after many years of unprofitability. The recent refresh of their R1 lineup did a lot to simplify production, and their factory retoolings have done a lot to increase efficiency. Some of those improvements include eliminating, quote, over 100 steps from the battery making process, 50 components from the body shop, and 500 parts from the design. The company recently released their Q2 earnings report, and that strategy seems to be creating great results. Their CEO, RJ Scaringe, said that this quarter was a defining one for Rivian, with a revenue of $1.158 billion and losses of $451 million. Even with those losses, the company expects to finally reach profitability by the end of this year. With the recent multi-billion-dollar investment from VW, cost reductions on the R1, and an expected increase in demand, the company expects to finally produce a profit on their anticipated production of 57,000 vehicles this year. From there, they have their upcoming R2 and R3 vehicles, which should have even better margins and more mass-market appeal. Rivian has had a lot of financial troubles over the years, but they really make great electric vehicles that are beloved by many. While their upcoming vehicles have a lot of people excited, with at least 100,000 reservations having been made, there were some worries over whether or not they could stay afloat to actually producing those new vehicles. It's really great to see that they are weathering the storm and are well on their way to profitability soon. While automakers have been rushing towards making the latest generation of more affordable EVs, it can't be denied that the luxury market has been where the technology has grown and thrived the most. For example, Lucid Motors recently announced that their Air sedan was officially dubbed the most efficient production car in the world. In light of that, their CEO talked about the technology powering the vehicle and why the competition may be a long way behind them. In July of this year, Lucid announced that the base rear-wheel drive model of their Air Pure was the first electric vehicle to hit the long sought-after threshold of 5 miles per kilowatt-hour. This is a huge milestone for EV technology, and is what enables this car to travel an estimated 420 miles on its 92 available kilowatt-hours. Currently, the solution for increasing range for many EVs has been to simply increase the size and number of battery cells inside, but by improving the efficiency of these vehicles, you should be able to travel the same distance in smaller, lighter, and less expensive cars. Lucid's CEO recently posted a graph which gives us some insight into the ways that they are beating the competition. Currently, the Lucid Air has the best available MPGe of any available EV at 146. Their next closest competitor is the Model S, which sits 23 miles behind at 123. By extrapolating the rate at which both brands are increasing in efficiency, Lucid expects that they have what is effectively an 8-year lead over Tesla before they catch up. While Lucid undeniably has some advantages over Tesla here, this doesn't account for any big future development that may be coming. Tesla is a very innovative company, and they are constantly working on improving their vehicles and advancing the technology powering their cars. Efficiency also isn't the entire picture here. For example, Tesla makes a number of cars that come in at much cheaper prices than those offered by Lucid, whose Air Pure starts at around $70,000 and goes up significantly from there. Tesla is a much bigger company than Lucid and has the resources to really push the envelope for future EV development. For now, the question remains, will Lucid be able to start producing cheaper cars before their competition is able to match their efficiency? Only time will tell. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see the latest battery tech Tesla could bring to their next car, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.